Hey Ronak, thank
Yeah.
you so much for taking out your time and agreeing to do this. Quickly, for the interest of the broader audience, if you could just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do currently.
So my name is Ronak, and I work with Porter, which is on-demand logistics platform, one of the biggest in India. I have been working with Porter in the retention marketing team for over 2.5 years now. And I have been solving a range of problems, like solving for reactivation, or solving for cross-selling of new categories, solving for orders per customer, retention mainly. And yeah, it has been an interesting journey so far.
So you mentioned 2.5 years in the retention ecosystem. I wonder how you landed there. Like most B schools don't teach retention from day zero. How did you end up in this role?
Yeah. So, a disclaimer: I don't come from a B school background.
Okay.
Okay. I'm an engineer. So I've been in Bangalore for the last 12 years now, and
Mhm.
I hail from Mumbai, and I came to Bangalore to study engineering. Okay.
Okay.
And I then ended up working here. And honestly, marketing was not my first go-to. Okay. Uh, uh, I actually wanted to make my career in supply chain operations. Okay, and that's what I did. So I was associated with Flipkart for a brief while, where I was working in their operations team, and I did a couple of operations gig, and then I came to Porto, and that's when the pandemic hit, and that's when, along with the paradigm shift for the world, it also happened with me. Okay, where
Nice.
I kind of got an opportunity to move to something called as life cycle marketing, which is another name for retention market, another fancy
Wow.
name for retention marketing rather.
Nice.
Uh, I have been, yeah, like I said, I've been in life cycle marketing for 2.5 years, and this was actually my first time in marketing as such. Okay, leave alone retention. This was the first time in marketing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's a brief about how I landed here. And yeah, I think the journey has been, I mean, it has been an interesting journey, especially because, I had to start from the scratch. Okay, not just in terms of learning, but even for Porter, retention as a team was fairly new. So, right from being an operator to being someone who's, leading a team of five passionate marketeers,
Mhm.
I think I have come a long way in the last two and a half
I know, I
years.
can only imagine. I mean, you've been in the retention space with Porter for 2.5 years. And if I look at the nature of the business, right, the average life cycle and the average purchase frequency is really low,
Yeah.
right? So, how do you manage retention there?
Hmm.
Like, given that, you've got limited options that you can sell to
Yeah.
somebody,
Yeah.
how do you manage retention?
Yeah. So, okay, so there was a time when the options were low. There was a long period of time when Porter, as an offering, was only providing trucks. Okay, and back then, I think the objective was more to keep ourselves still in customers' mind. Like, so there are two kinds of customers there, right? There will be users like you and me who would probably use it once a year, maybe to move houses or move furniture. But there would be other set of customers which are more retail customer, like SMEs and small businesses, right? And they have a more recurring truck requirement, like at least once a month. So
Okay.
our objective there was to at least have a top of the mind recall कि अच्छा, if you have a requirement for transport, you know where to go. That's how we were kind of solving for it
Mhm.
initially. But as time went by, we introduced more categories, and one of them was two-wheelers as a delivery service, which had a far more broader use case and more frequent use case. And you can say that if trucks was probably once a month, this would probably be once a week. Okay, where
Mhm.
businesses would have to send, documents or small samples to their customers, etc. So that's what we banked on. That's the use case that we kind of try to bank on and try to get more engagement on our platform.
Nice. So, would it be safe to assume that you guys are sort of poaching into the Dunzos of the world, poaching into that space?
Yeah, we definitely are poaching, and I think we've probably beaten Dunzo in that process. But yeah, I think the I think, yeah, we definitely, there's no doubt about it. I think that was the idea. The idea was, I mean, okay, instead of looking at it that way, I would say that we wanted to be a, a convenience in terms of transport, ad hoc transport.
Mhm.
Okay. And to get there, we wanted to offer whatever vehicles we could. Like if it had to come to us offering something like an auto, okay, we would probably do that also. So two-wheeler was the most obvious thing to get into.
Mhm.
Okay, and yeah, I think we started with trucks and then went to two-wheelers. And yeah, I think that's the you're right. I mean, we have been poaching there, but that was not the aim. That was not the objective of getting into
It's
two-wheeler.
just a byproduct of
Yeah, it's just
expansion.
diversifying in terms of categories within the same ecosystem.
Coming back to
Yeah,
your journey as a retention marketer, I understand you were paradropped into this role. Wasn't
yeah,
your first choice.
yeah.
So I'm pretty sure you learned a lot of things along the way. If I give you a time machine today that takes you back in time and you could talk to your younger self and teach him something that you learned very late in your career, what would that be?
I think so. There are two things. Okay, one of the most important things that I learned very late on is prioritizing efficiency over perfection. Okay, so
Okay.
what that means is that instead of trying to get it right, okay, we're trying to get it done. Okay, I think and that becomes especially important in a fast growing startup like Porter, right?
Mhm.
Or any startup for that matter, where I think the importance is that you do more rather than doing things right, because what happens is that uh, you start doing things more, okay, and then eventually you will get it right, instead of
True.
you trying to get it right and then nothing moves, okay, and then you've not really moved any needle and nothing happens, okay, and
Mhm.
you're not even getting it right. Okay, so I think that is one of the very important lessons. Okay, for the longest time, I mean, it took me quite a bit of time to really internalize that. I think the second thing would be rigor. Okay, in anything that you do, there
Mhm.
needs to be rigor. Okay, which means that, say, if you have delegated some work, or if you are talking to external stakeholders and you've delegated work over there, uh, so initially your thought process would be that, okay, the work would be done, but that might not be necessary. There has to be some rigor built in terms of following up with them, or in terms of having a regular cadence. I mean, I'm just
Mhm.
giving you one example of that, but what I've realized is that having rigor makes sure that the work gets done. Okay, so I think these are the two things that I've learned, which if I had known earlier, I think I would have been in a better place now. But I think, yeah, these are the two things that have been really important.
Yeah. So pretty much, if I was to summarize the 2 points, I would take discipline as like the core pillar.
Yeah, for sure.
No matter what you're doing, there has to be a disciplined
Yeah,
approach, and that's true for any company that you work for, right?
yeah,
Any startup that you
yeah,
work for, we spend a lot of time getting the perfect thing out.
yeah,
But if I don't do it today,
yeah,
my competitor is going to do it tomorrow,
yeah.
right? And there's no point if I'm just
Yes,
another Me Too brand who's
absolutely.
doing something. So
Correct.
precisely.
Yes.
So with high growth functions, like just like you and me, we're very passionate about what we do and we want to break new grounds, but that also involves a certain degree of frustration because the processes are set in a certain way, or the way the industry is functioning is not aligned with your vision and your ideas. If I give you an opportunity to change one thing, what would that be?
So it's a good question. Uh, I think, okay, I think one of the most fundamental problems about retention is that no one knows about it. Okay. Uh, like a lot of things that we solve for, it's very hard to explain as to why we're trying to do it. Okay, and one of the reasons for that is that people don't, I mean, they don't understand that a lot of the impact that you're trying to create is not going to be short term, it's more long term, right? So I think one thing that I would really want to change is education related to retention marketing, as to how it exactly works. Okay, it's
Mhm.
not going to be similar to something like acquisition, or something where the growth is much more visible, right? Like, I think retention marketing as a function is I mean, people need to understand, including the people working as operators within retention marketing, is that hey, it's fine. Okay, I know you're not seeing visible results. Okay, but that doesn't mean that you're not creating impact. Okay, what you're trying to do is create small growth loops, and that small loops are going to compound, and it's going to come across as a very big impact maybe 12 months down the line. I think education would be the answer for this.
Fair enough. So another flip side to this coin, right?
Sure.
How important would you say is top management alignment towards retention? Because I'm pretty sure when you talk about long-term goals, right, justifying your efforts today will be very difficult,
Yeah.
and not having the top management aligned with that
Yeah.
vision would sort of frustrate you in the
Yeah.
long run. Do
Yeah.
you feel something like that?
So I wouldn't say the top management is not aligned. Okay. I think the top management also needs to understand, what is happening. Okay. I think even today in a lot of orgs, the focus is still on acquisition. Okay. But say the acquisition plateaus. Okay. Or maybe not on a pan India level, but say in a city or something of that sort, right? Then, in places like that, retention would become very important, and the top management kind of needs to be aligned with what needs to be done over there.
Mhm.
Honestly, I have not faced any problems like at Porter. I think we have been given the freedom to pursue what we want. The trouble has only been that building a story around how basically making it convincing enough for them to believe in what we're doing. I think that's the hardest part because there are so many nuances to it. There's so many so many moving things over there, right? I think I think building a narrative has been the most hardest part, but I personally haven't faced any resistance from the top management in
Yeah,
that respect.
totally. I mean, I wouldn't imagine otherwise, because that's what sort of forms the fundamentals of a company's growth. Your top management has to be open to ideas of retention. Most early stage companies, they focus on acquisition, increase my customer base, and then we'll figure out later on,
Yeah,
right? So yeah, I mean, kudos to you on that part.
yeah,
So I want to introduce you to the next section of this talk, which is never have I ever.
yeah.
I'm going to put you on spot for a couple of questions, and
Sure,
I'd love to see how you answer those.
sure,
So this is for you,
yeah,
and let me pull up my questions.
sure.
All right. So first question for you: never have I ever created a failed campaign and blamed it on others. You have. All right. All right. All right. I'd love to know what was that. I'd love to know that situation.
Ah. I think this has more to do with, okay, I have, I wouldn't say I've blamed it on them, but okay, I'm being diplomatic here, obviously, because I didn't know he's going to ask a follow up. But uh, okay, so I'm actually talking about more, let's say we've run ads for retention marketing as well, and a lot of them are very hard to get, right? Like, because it's not, again, not as easy as it would be for acquisition, because this is again a niche set that we're trying to reach out to, and I've kind of I blamed that on the content team that, hey, the content is probably not relatable. I could be right, I could be wrong. Okay, or it could have been entirely my fault, or it could be, but we never know. Okay, but I mean, this has been one of the talking points in the discussion. But
Fair enough. We'll leave it at that. Teams can take a hint.
yeah.
Never have I ever sent a campaign with failed personalization tags. You know those F name bracket.
Uh, I think I have. Oh, maybe not personalization, but there have been campaigns where, and fortunately, it has not been for a very big audience, but it would have been that, hey, we wanted to send it in a city X, but we sent it in a city Y. But yeah, I mean, you learn from your mistakes. That's how you learn. But yeah, we after that we've had processes to cross check, make sure that that doesn't happen going forward.
So did it backfire in any way?
It didn't. It
It didn't.
didn't, fortunately. Yeah, like
Fortunately,
I
it
said,
didn't.
it was a very small audience, but it has happened.
Nice.
Especially when you have new team members, and when you're delegating it, right? It becomes, sometimes you kind of it is a miss, but yeah, I think we've been fortunate enough to not have very big errors as such.
Nice. So that's 2 for 2 for you.
Yeah.
Never have I ever tweaked my reports to save my ass.
I've never done that. I'm pretty confident of it. Like there have been times when I have messed up, but I think the best way to do it is be honest, because I know ki, do mahine baad there is going to be someone who's going to find it out. Okay, and yeah, it's not advisable for anyone who's watching this, listening to this. Yeah, please don't do that.
I am just glad I don't have this tag. And I hope my managers aren't seeing this. Never have I ever sprayed a campaign to achieve my month-end numbers.
I've never done that. No.
Never done that?
No, never done that.
Wow.
Never done that.
So I reminisce this in my previous organization. I was managing Demand Gen, and so quarter was really dire. O&D for SaaS companies is usually low. So my CEO comes to me and he's like, "Where are the leads for this month?" Like, so as a desperation attempt, I just picked up a list of 22,000 folks, sent out an email, got 40 leads, saved my ass for that quarter.
Yeah.
So I'm guilty of doing that. And the last one, never have I ever picked a bone with my manager because he expected me to run a campaign that was pretty much stupid in nature.
I don't think I have done it. Okay. I mean, I might have had a problem, but I think it's just in my nature to be the most, I don't know what the right word for it is, but to be the, the most peaceful,
Calm,
maybe.
peaceful, yeah.
Okay. So I mean, it might not necessarily have been my manager also. I'll just another disclaimer over here. It might have been a stakeholder. Okay, a very important one at that, and they might have expected something that might have sounded really stupid, and I would have definitely told them that, hey, this does not make sense, and this is why it does not make sense. But I would have still done it for them just to prove my point that what I said was right, and it doesn't help. But yeah, I don't think I'm a very peaceful guy by nature. I don't really pick up fights with anyone that I meet. So yeah.
Any hiring managers out there listening to this podcast, please frame this guy. He's the guy for you. So yeah, with that, I just come to the last question of today. You won the 30 under 30 last year, and how's that overall experience been for you?
Yeah, I think one of the fondest memories that I have is that, so 30 under 30, I think we were the first cohort. Okay, I didn't know that. I just got to know. The proudest moment that I've had is that I've had my mother call me, okay, and tell me that, hey, you won 30 under 30 for retention marketing. Why did you tell me this? And the first question I asked her was, how did you know? Because I hadn't told her. Because like I said, right, no one gets retention marketing. So my mother would be the last person to even appreciate what this is. Or so I thought. But I think for her, it added more value because she got to know from somewhere else. Okay, like the neighbors told her because they read it in a newspaper, or I think an article that was there online. And I think that was the proudest moment. And yeah, I mean, apart from that, I had a couple of folks at work, congratulating me for it. And I think overall it feels good because as a retention marketer in the org, you might not get as much importance as, say, an acquisition marketer would get. Okay. Which I don't have a problem with because I do enjoy low profile. So it's cool.
That's he being diplomatic for the camera.
No, it's true also. But anyway, I think it has been good. Maybe I should start bragging about it more. And I think in the years to come, it is going to be one of those things that, hey, this guy is 30 under 30 retention marketer. And I hope it gets there because then I'm going to brag about it even more. So thanks a lot for that, WebEngage and ET. Yeah, I think that's something that I'll definitely be proud of.
Just
for years
off
to come.
the records, I'm super jealous of you. I'm turning 30 next month and I desperately wanted to be a 30 under 30 for marketing. I couldn't make it. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having
Absolute
me.
pleasure connecting with you.
Thank you.